Joan Baez, the pure voice of civil rights and anti-war defiance. Welcome to the clear, unwavering voice of conscience. What happens when a young folk singer stands beside Martin Luther King and refuses to stay silent on Vietnam? Joan Baez didn't just sing folk songs. She became the moral soundtrack of a generation's fight for justice. With a voice pure as crystal and courage that sent her to jail, she turned music into a bridge for civil rights, peace, and human dignity. This is the steadfast journey of the Queen of Folk. Joan Baez, born January 9, 1941, is an American singer, songwriter, musician, and activist. Her contemporary folk music often includes songs of protest and social justice. Baez has performed publicly for over 60 years, releasing more than 30 albums. Born into a Quaker family that valued nonviolence and justice, Joan Baez moved frequently due to her father's scientific work. She discovered folk music in her teens and quickly stood out with her pure, angelic soprano voice. While growing up, Baez was subjected to racial slurs and discrimination because of her Mexican heritage. Consequently, she became involved in social causes early in her career. She declined to play in any white student venues that were segregated, which meant that when she toured the southern states, would play only at black colleges. Owing to her father's work with UNESCO, their family moved many times, living in towns across the U.S., as well as in England, France, Switzerland, Spain, Canada, and the Middle East, including Iraq. Joan Baez became involved with a variety of social causes early in her career, including civil rights and nonviolence. The opening line of Baez's memoir, "And a voice to sing with," is, "I was born gifted," referring to her singing voice she explained was given to her, and for which she can take no credit. A friend of Joan's father gave her a ukulele. She learned 4 chords, which enabled her to play rhythm and blues, the music she was listening to at the time. Her parents, however, were fearful that the music would lead her into a life of drug addiction. When Baez was 13, her aunt took her to a concert by folk musician Pete Seeger, and Baez found herself strongly moved by his music. She soon began practicing the songs of his repertoire and performing them publicly. One of her earliest public performances was at a retreat in Saratoga, California, for a youth group from Temple Beth Jacob, a Redwood City, California, Jewish congregation. A few years later, in 1957, Baez bought her first Gibson acoustic guitar. After graduating from high school in 1958, Baez and her family moved from the San Francisco area to Boston, Massachusetts. At that time, it was in the center of the up-and-coming folk music scene, and she began performing near home in Boston and nearby Cambridge. Baez later met Bob Gibson and Odetta, who were at the time 2 of the most prominent vocalists singing folk and gospel music. Baez cites Odetta as a primary influence, along with Marian Anderson and Pete Seeger. Gibson invited Baez to perform with him at the 1959 Newport Folk Festival, where they sang 2 duets, "Virgin Mary Had One Son" and "We Are Crossing Jordan River." The performance generated substantial praise for the barefoot Madonna with the otherworldly voice, and it was this appearance that led to Baez signing with Vanguard Records the following year. Although Columbia Records tried to sign her first, Baez later claimed that she felt she would be given more artistic license at a more low-key label. Baez's nickname at the time, Madonna, has been attributed to her clear voice, long hair, and natural beauty, and to her role as Earth Mother. Her true professional career began at the inaugural Newport Folk Festival in 1959. After that appearance, she recorded her first album for Vanguard, Joan Baez, 1960. Joan became a leading figure in the 1960s folk revival. From the early to the mid-1960s, Baez emerged at the forefront of the American Roots revival, where she introduced her audiences to the then-unknown Bob Dylan, and was emulated by artists such as Judy Collins, Emmylou Harris, Joni Mitchell, and Barney Raitt. She popularized "We Shall Overcome" and introduced many to Bob Dylan's early work. Her crystal-clear voice and emotional depth made complex issues feel intimate and urgent. In 1956, Baez first heard Martin Luther King Jr. speak about nonviolence, civil rights, and social change in a speech that brought tears to her eyes. Several years later, the two became friends, with Baez participating in many of the civil rights movement demonstrations that King helped organize. When she was a senior in high school, Baez met anti-war activist Ira Sanperl, and through their interests in various philosophies and political causes, they developed a friendship. In 1965, they founded together the Institute for the Study of Nonviolence in Carmel Valley, California, with Sanperl running the general operations and funding coming from Baez. In 1963, Joan sang "We Shall Overcome" at the March on Washington just before Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream" speech. She refused to perform in segregated venues and became deeply involved in the civil rights movement. She was one of the first musicians to use her popularity as a vehicle for social protest, singing and marching for human rights and peace. Pete Seeger, Odetta, and decades-long friend Harry Belafonte were her early social justice advocate influences. Baez came to be considered the most accomplished interpretive folk singer/songwriter of the 1960s. As the Vietnam War escalated, she spoke out boldly, withheld her taxes in protest, and was arrested multiple times for non-violent civil disobedience. In August 1969, her appearance at Woodstock in upstate New York raised her international musical and political profile, particularly after the successful release of the documentary film Woodstock, 1970. In 1972, she visited Hanoi during the Christmas bombings, using her platform to advocate for peace. Her powerful renditions of "We Shall Overcome," "Joe Hill," "Saigon Bride," and many Dylan songs became anthems for justice. She performed at Woodstock, countless rallies, and benefits for causes including farm workers' rights and anti-death penalty campaigns. Her music wasn't background, it was a call to action. Joan Baez wrote "The Story of Bangladesh" in 1971. This song was based on the Pakistani army crackdown on unarmed sleeping Bengali students at Dhaka University on March 25, 1971, which ignited the prolonged 9-month Bangladesh Liberation War. The song was later entitled "The Song of Bangladesh" and released in a 1972 album from Shando's Music. Now in her 80s, Joan continues advocating for peace, climate justice, and immigrant rights. She has never compromised her principles, even when it cost her commercial success. Her voice remains a beacon of moral clarity. Today, Joan Baez remains the pure voice of conscience, the folk queen who sang for civil rights, against war, and for human dignity across generations. She showed the world that music and moral courage belong together. Her songs still lift us toward justice. Thank you for witnessing the light.